Hello and welcome back to another episode of Film Seizure. We are 3/4 of the way through our March Madness. And this time, guys, can we just get Beyond Thunderdome?
I don't know if anyone gets
we'll be beyond
Thunderdome.
Thunderdome next week.
Oh, damn. Okay, well,
right
then
now
I guess,
we're
then I
right
guess
now we're in the Thunderdome.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough. So it's Mad Max 3, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, whatever you want to call it. I've seen it listed as Mad Max 3.
yeah.
Like in some ways, but no, this is as far as I've ever known, it's not even colonized. It's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. No colons, no dashes, nothing. That's the movie. You've already heard Jason Oliver. Jason, how's it going?
Going great. Going great. I don't need another hero.
Well, okay.
Don't bring them to me.
Okay, fair enough. Won't do that. Chuck, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. I assume you're going to be the one who's going to leave against Jason, so that's good. How you doing?
I was going to say 3 man enter, 1 man leave, but yeah, I would.
Well, wait. What? So 2 of us have to be Master Blaster.
Yes, you 2 are Master Blaster.
Begin embargo.
I do deal in shit, so yeah.
Yeah, the Enema Man definitely has to be down there. I'm good, by the way. Thank you for asking.
Fantastic. So the year is 1985. In fact, to be more exact, it is July 1985. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome hits the screens. It is a movie that is uncontroversially, to some, their least and their most favorite. Depending on who you talk to, it's their favorite, it's their least favorite. And neither of those, at least at the time. Now, obviously, we got the perfect one to end as far as our finale next week. But
And we do have a bracket that's in play too that we'll discuss at the end of this episode.
Fair enough.
I guess it'll be the end of next episode. We'll
It'll be the
revisit
end
the
of next,
bracket.
yeah. But in 1985, it was debated, but I don't think it was super controversial whether you landed on it's the best or it's the worst. And I think it's even less so now controversial because this is kind of, in a way, it's kind of our Mad Max movie, right? Like it's it's the only one that isn't R rated.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
but
this is PG-13. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I mean, this was the movie that was, in a way, this is kind of, part of that 80s action lexicon for our generation. It is the first one that is solely produced by George Miller. Actually, the only one that I think is solely produced by George Miller because Byron Kennedy had died.
Yeah, he
shortly
passed away.
after Mad Max 2 came out.
The movie is dedicated to him.
Yes.
He died in a
Helicopter
accident.
Yeah, he was scouting locations at a dam and crashed.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, I mean, in a way, this kind of picks right up from the type of feel and look that the Road Warrior had, less so than, again, the first one is such an oddball, right? Because, like you see like regular towns, you see green grass, you see a beach, this one follows much more along the lines of the Road Warrior where it's desolate. It's a desert. It's not good. But this one is kind of leans a little bit more heavy into a post-nuclear war type of world where radiation is a problem.
Yeah.
Because as Wikipedia puts it, it's a wasteland caused by ecocide and a nuclear war over resources, which was only kind of hinted at in Road Warrior, I think.
Right.
A war happened, but it was never really truly really, I mean, it was just kind of the background of here's how we got here.
And that's definitely something that is that they take into the fourth movie as well. So it's an idea that Miller kind of picks up and runs with. But yeah, that is a bit new. Another thing that's new about this movie is there's no V8 interceptor. It's not there.
I mean, it died in the last movie.
I know, but it shows up in all of them except this one. So
Well, there is kind of
if there is a
reference.
continuity, then, and I have a theory about this, I think this is the last Mad Max movie in continuity, even with Fury Road. If there is a continuity.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm okay with that. Although there is the reference to his covered wagon vehicle thing that has a bomb on it, right? There is that continuity.
Sure.
But yeah,
sure.
Chuck is right. I mean, like, I guess if we are to consider this a true takeoff from Road Warrior,
Right.
yeah, the V8's dead. It's gone.
Right. So there is a continuity there, is the point, right?
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
It still kind of has shades of, the mythical legend of Max, right? Because of where the story goes and ends. And because of characters that could be dual characters from the Road Warrior, I feel. It's almost like you picked up this story and it got told a bunch of times and it got transformed into something else for the people that needed it to suit their needs, right? But there is also a continuity for sure that there's no V8, there is no interceptor. It was destroyed and it's dead. So that's why I also feel like if you're gonna apply continuity, Fury Road probably sits, for me, I think it honestly sits even before the Road Warrior. But we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a fool's errand to try to figure
I
out
agree.
continuity.
But there is a V8
right?
interceptor in Fury Road.
Well, but that is the mythological Max, right?
That's true.
We're going to talk about.
You can look at it that way as well.
We'll talk about that. I mean, because like I said, I feel like only the first two are really truly like the beginning, middle, and end of Max's story, right? And I would even go so far as to say maybe only the first movie is really the only real story of
I would not argue with that. I'm just
Yeah.
it's just,
And I
it's just
wouldn't
fun
argue-
to, it's just fun
sure,
to speculate on the
sure.
on the thing. It's because you're right. It is a fool's errand to assign any sort of linear plot or chronology. Yes. To the series.
A continuity, chronology, chronological.
All those words that mean the same thing.
Yeah, all mean time. It's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like you can't really apply a continuity to Friday the 13th. It's pretty hard to apply a continuity to Nightmare on Elm Street. If you think this one's hard, I dare you to watch 60 years worth of Doctor Who and set up a continuity there. The Godzilla films have better continuity than all of those things I just mentioned. You only have to worry about eras for those. But anyway, So what's going on here at the beginning of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome?
Well, he's getting duped again by Bruce Spence. That's what happens. Bruce Spence gets the better of Max once again.
Yep.
Steals all his shit with his son, who may or may not be a stand-in for the feral kid, right?
Sure, why not? I mean,
why not?
Apparently the feral kid kind of hit big because kids become a thing in this movie.
Kids become way too much of a thing in this movie.
But we'll get there.
Like, there's a lot I like about this movie, but there's a lot of stuff in this movie that just has me scratching my head for like the last half of it. I'm just kind of figuring out, how does this work?
It makes total sense to me. So it's weird to me.
Good, because you can explain it to us. You can explain it to us.
Okay.
You can explain it to me and the other people listening that struggle with it. So yes, good. I'm excited about this.
Sweet.
He gets all
shit
the
stolen.
shit stolen.
Yeah.
Bruce Spence. What is he credited as in this one?
The jalopy pilot.
The jalopy pilot?
Well,
that's
yeah,
funny.
it's the flying jalopy, but his Jebediah, yeah.
Jebediah, yeah. And which I guess he's stepped up his aeronautic game from the gyro, right?
Oh,
now
yeah, he's got a whole
he's got
passenger
himself
plane.
a whole goddamn plane, yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of cool too. It's almost like
It's like a car
yeah.
with wings. Yeah, and to be honest with you, it probably is way safer than getting on a Boeing right now.
yeah. Do not book your flight on a Max. Don't do it. Don't do it. A Mad Max. 737 Mad Max. There you go. Holy shit, yeah. But yeah, he decides, all right, well, fuck it. He's got to go hoof it now into Bartertown because he's tracking Jebediah, who stole all his crap. And what do you need to do to get into Bartertown? What do you got to have?
Something to barter.
Something to barter, right? Otherwise, what? You have no business in Bartertown.
Yep.
Right.
So he's not going to be let in, but he does in fact have something that he might be able to barter. Might be able to barter his craziness.
He's got a certain set of skills.
He's got a certain set of skills. This is a man who is has made his livelihood on livelihood. Like living in survival, right? So this is recognized in him, and they think, all right, well, they hatch a plan. Maybe this is the guy we need to assassinate a particular character, a particular problem that Bartertown has.
There's
a seeming problem.
A seeming problem. There is
yes.
a very interesting thing about Bartertown, right? Because there's a surface Bartertown. There is the business part of Bartertown, the ground floor, and then there's under Bartertown.
Yeah.
And it seems as though all of those things are constantly being pushed and pulled by two particular people on the top and in the underneath. Yeah, this is the first half of this movie is some of the best Mad Maxing that there is, because there's a world built here.
Yep.
Which is not always the strength of the Mad Max movies.
Yep.
Because normally the stories are so very specific that
It's also
that doesn't need the world build.
It's also one of the many strengths of next week's movie.
Absolutely.
Is the world building. But
Absolutely.
yes, it is on full display here. I 100% agree. Like, the first half of this movie is spectacular. The first half and the last 20 minutes of this movie I love. But then Chuck's gonna sell me on the rest of it, so I'm excited.
I said it makes sense. I didn't say I liked it.
Damn it!
I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. This is two completely different movies for me. Everything that's in Bartertown, the Thunderdome, all of that stuff, absolutely, absolutely fantastic. Tina Turner looks like she is having the time of her life in this movie. The back half, I don't like it at all. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, for practically 40 years, it's like, do I like this movie? And the first half of the movie, I'm like, I like this movie. And then the back half, I'm like, I don't like this movie. It is easily number 4.
It is not for me. It's number 3 for me. But
Dan, you guys are blowing the brackets already.
I know, blowing the brackets up. But this movie is so much fun when it's fun that I keep coming back to it. I enjoy the hell out of this movie.
Oh, I will always have a desire to watch at least the first half of the movie.
You know what would make this movie better, though? I was actually I couldn't remember.
R rating.
Well, that would have been, yes. I don't necessarily miss the R rating terribly.
I should give that an asterisk. I say that only because when I realized it wasn't R-rated, it really stuck out.
I didn't
But
really
at the same time, it was like, because it got to a certain point in the second half of the movie, I'm like, why is this R-rated? Is this R-rated? And then I looked at the back of my Blu-ray case. I'm like, it's not R-rated. No wonder I was having this kind of weird tickle in the back of my brain. However, I shouldn't say that should doom this movie. However, I will say, to a certain extent, imagine if we go and see Freddy versus Jason, only to find out it's rated PG-13.
This is a totally different kind of experience.
I know, but like it's one of those things where it's like I always think of Mad Max as like an R-rated adult action movie, right? Not necessarily that it has to be nudity or cursing all over the place or particularly violent or anything, but I always think of it as this. It's a grown-up action movie, right?
There's an expectation of an edge, but
exactly.
I don't know.
But even
I
like
kind
the
of feel
first,
like it was a little bit missing in the second half.
What do you got?
The first half definitely is there.
Even the first like 20 times I saw a Mad Max movie, it was TV edited, so there was no R rating to it. So I don't apply that to the series at all, because actually seeing the original again after how many years and wondering if I ever saw it, like all of those scenes that were brutal, I had never seen before. I don't think. Or even Mad Max 2. Most of the time I watched it TV edit. Beyond Thunderdome was probably the first I saw in its entirety on a cable channel.
And I mean, even outside of the rape scene in The Road Warrior, take that out or edit around it, and Road Warrior is a PG-13 movie today.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I don't know, that cutting off limbs and stuff and sticking the thing in the guy's head.
Yeah, maybe
there was more violence to it than.
Yeah, maybe I don't register it anymore.
It's not quite as like.
It's Star Wars violence in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and thinking ahead to next week, the violence is done in such a different way in that it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think just watching all of them together like that, this one does stand out in that way. That it feels a little bit less sharp.
One thing that stands out to me in this one is the production design. It is so far and away the most expensive looking Mad Max to date. When this movie came out, I mean, it looks like a proper studio film, right?
Yeah.
It just feels big, and I love that when a franchise kind of meets that epic scale with a budget, and this definitely does, in my opinion.
I'm wondering if that budget led to it being PG-13 because they wanted more people to be able to see it.
It could be. It was $10 million budget though, so it wasn't like it was a bank breaker.
I mean, like but also. I don't know if that was not. I mean, I just think that George Miller was just like, this is the story I want to tell, and it just turned out to be that it wasn't an R-rated story to tell, that's perfectly fine too. But it does, all that stuff in the second half does feel like it is really more Goonies than it is Mad Max, and it does kind of conflict in my brain a little.
That's why it's like a Star Wars version of Mad Max almost.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely is one of the early reasons why we as children were afraid of quicksand. That is definitely, like, this and Neverending Story are the two that really stick out for me.
Beastmaster.
And the Beastmaster I didn't see probably until later. I saw the Beastmaster 2 before I saw the Beastmaster.
Can you imagine? I mean, this joke's been made all over the internet that I'm retreading, but we were so afraid of fucking quicksand.
Yeah, I know.
And it's literally nowhere.
Like, it's a meme, but it's a true meme. Like, this shit was like, I was legitimately afraid of two things as a kid: quicksand, and that my car was going to go off the road into water, and I was going to have to be able to tread water to survive.
Oh, so you still doesn't like bridges. It probably stems from that shit when we were kids.
So you also saw Blowout at an early age.
No, I had like a crazy mother who was like, you need to know how to tread water in case you're ever stranded in water. And And an example she gave is like, what if we had a blowout right now and I drove the car into the river? Terrified me still to this day. I'm traumatized.
What if John Travolta wasn't there to save you?
This was the way she motivated me to go to swim classes.
That's beautiful.
I mean, the thing is, if water is in an equation where it's too deep for me, I'm just going to give up. Kroll also had quicksand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Anyway, it also has the glaive, so it's like that one has the best thing in the 80s period and the scariest thing.
The Princess Bride had the quicksand too.
Yeah, it did.
See, it's a whole thing. It's a whole.
It is. It's a whole thing.
It is. I think the most traumatic quicksand though has to be Neverending Story, though, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
devastatingly traumatic.
You gotta watch that fucking horse die.
God, that's brutal, man. That's like our version of Bambi. It's mom getting shot, right?
But Bambi was our version of Bambi
well,
too.
we got it too because of the re-release. I know.
Yes.
It was the first movie I saw in the theater. Yeah, yeah. It was the very first movie I saw. It's amazing I ever went back to see another movie.
They always used to kill shit back in the day, man. Old Yeller.
Oh yeah, it's like
yeah.
I cut my teeth on Fox and the Hound. That's those
Big
are
Dan in the
friends having
Land.
to kill each
Yeah.
other. Yeah,
Yep.
or well, not kill it, but like potentially kill each other.
Right, they were mortal enemies.
Yeah.
It's like Romeo and Juliet for hounds and foxes.
Yeah.
They were both platonic. It was a platonic Romeo and Juliet.
I think you mean the
That's
Capulets
probably
and the
why they didn't-
Montagues.
Yeah, it's Capulets and Montagues. That's probably
Yes,
why I
Capulet and
wrote
Montagues. Thank you. Yeah.
The Fox and the Hound didn't
Yeah.
drink poison because they were just friends, not
Right.
lovers.
Right.
But that goddamn bear comes out and fucks it up.
Well-
anyway, we're way
We're way off the rails.
way the hell off.
We are beyond Thunderdome right
We
now,
are
guys.
way beyond Thunderdome.
We're
All right,
there.
what I
We
was
got
going to
it.
say before we went beyond Thunderdome, I was going to say, you know what would make this movie better? So I'm watching it, and I'm watching the first half, and I'm remembering the sort of kind of the second half, and I'm thinking, oh, is this Yojimbo? Because doesn't he have to play like Tina Turner against Master and Master against Tina Turner? And like, isn't there like he's playing both sides element to this? And then no, there isn't.
No, because you got to remember one of the things that most people
There
don't
isn't at
realize.
all.
What most people don't realize about the Mad Max series is that Mad Max is kind of an incidental character in his own movies.
Yeah, that's very true.
He's a
He is-
catalyst.
Yeah, I mean, at best, he's a catalyst. But like in this,
But he has
He's
that
used-
moment where he's like, I'm going to do the thing that lets you get away, that lets you survive. There's always that moment, that heroic moment.
sure. And but like most of the time, he is not really even the lead character in his own movies. And certainly not next week. But that fits him pretty well. Really. I mean, but like, it's like he gets captured and kind of is the guy who has the idea in The Road Warrior. In Mad Max, he is the lead in that, but at the same time, I would say we probably have a better idea of how the world operates through Toe Cutter and his wife than we do Max.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, so I don't know. I mean, that's a
know.
conversation for another. I mean, that's a conversation for 2 weeks ago if we wanted to have it.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that Max is used in this, and he's kind of a sucker. Now he does do heroic things, absolutely, but I would say that most of the time he is not the lead character in his own narrative.
I would say that maybe he is probably the lead character in this more than any of them. Because in this, he makes moral decisions that change what happens. When he goes into Thunderdome and he has the opportunity to kill Blaster, he doesn't, because Blaster is basically
let's set up the whole what the scheme is, right? Because Tina Turner is anti-entity, and she is basically the ruler of Bartertown. However, she really only rules the upper part right? The power is supplied by, and therefore, ultimately, it's kind of the idea of like the president can do only so
he
much,
who
but
controls the spice controls the universe.
kind of, yeah, right. Like whoever can supply the juice to make things run is really themselves thinking they're in charge, right?
Yeah.
And so what you have underneath Bartertown is Master, who is a little guy who basically farms pigs who are cared for. They eat, they shit, and they take the shit and they shovel it into big burners that creates methane, which powers Bartertown on the surface.
Bullshit.
Well, it's pig shit.
Thank you.
But it's so basically, Tina Turner wants to basically remove her only potential rival, which is the guy who supplies the power to Bartertown. Because if she can take that over, then she will have it all.
Well, she didn't want to remove him.
She doesn't want to remove him, right? She wants to remove his muscle.
His muscle, who is Blaster. So he's always referred to as Master Blaster because he's got this gigantic hulking guy that he basically rides. And he is able to control people by way of physical domination through Blaster.
Yeah, because if there's ever a dispute, disputes have to be conducted in Thunderdome. That is the law of Bartertown. And that's kind of like the whole way this society works, is if there's a dispute, you go to Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. So he has got the strongest man in Bartertown, so nobody dare oppose him because it means certain death.
Yep.
20 men could enter Thunderdome.
And still Blaster will come out.
And Blaster will still leave. Right.
Yeah.
So Annie Entity's idea, because of politics and because Thunderdome is the way that these things are decided, after seeing Max beat up her whole crew, basically, is like, I need you to pick a fight with him.
Yeah.
So you can take out Blaster.
And well, first he's like, I want to get close.
He wants to get up close to him. Yeah, that's what I was going to say next.
Yeah, sorry, because he's
doing cop work.
Step. Yeah,
he's doing cop work. He's got to go and look and see.
Yeah, but he does go under and see the inner workings of the thing. He sees his car or whatever his current vehicle was.
His like cart
vehicle, and it has the same explosive technique he used on the V8.
Yep.
And he's like, "Oh, I can take that off for you. Don't touch that. You're gonna blow up this whole fucking place, basically."
And by the way, if something were to explode in there, holy shit! I mean, it would be like a whole
holy shit, indeed.
Yeah, it would be like a whole other nuclear bomb.
Happens when it explodes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Shit everywhere. But yeah, he refuses to take it off. I can't remember his reasoning for not taking it off, but then that's when Master is like, okay, I'll show you who runs this fucking place and who's in charge. And he does the embargo. He makes the anti-entity admit to everyone that you're in charge, and thus sets up the power struggle.
Who
makes
runs
us think
Bartertown?
It should be so obvious from the beginning that Master Blaster is not necessarily the bad guy.
Yeah,
it should be so obvious, but I haven't seen this in so long. I'm like, oh yeah, they need to take him out. For some reason, I thought Tina Turner was a good guy in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny.
She's not a bad guy necessarily anyway.
You see them both at their best and worst, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't say that neither one is good or either is good or bad. They're both consumed by power in their own ways.
Well, yeah, and they are like capitalist id, right? Like, running the things to, it's like you cannot live without either one of us. But wouldn't it be great if one could take the other over?
Actually, that's what's where, like, into the third act, where I wish the movie had a little bit more meat, because Master is a little bit tossed aside. as
Literally.
a almost
He's tossed around a lot.
Oh man, there's a lot of connotations there.
He's passed
He's-
around like a fucking football.
He's
like,
almost turned into a MacGuffin.
yeah.
Like in the final act of this movie, there's a struggle for him because he has this expertise, right? That is
he knows how to
invaluable.
make the whole shit factory work.
Yeah, among other things, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
He's the smartest guy in Bartertown.
he's the smartest guy in Bartertown. Yep.
And Tina Turner is the most opportunistic person in Bartertown. And so those
She-
two things are very combative.
She has charisma.
Yep.
And she has great legs.
She does. And she also has the hearts and minds of the people on the surface.
Yes, she does. She's the reason, really, why Bartertown exists. And then you get the sense that she was the one who recognized, okay, Master is someone we need to make this thing, bring it to the next level, right? Like, I don't know this for sure, but that's the sense you get because she is the de facto leader, even though Master is the one that can bring Bartertown to its knees, right?
Right. But he can't deal with people
Correct.
like she can. It's kind of, I mentioned this, I suppose I mentioned this last week with the Road Warrior. But, I had said that it seemed as though like Robert Kirkman was very influenced by Mad Max or the Road Warrior for like Walking Dead. Because there is this kind of idea of like settlements and how people deal with like structures of power and stuff.
Yeah.
And Tina Turner in this is essentially Negan, somebody who is a schlub in regular life, happened to survive the apocalypse, and then realized you have to deal with people in this situation. Now you have to understand what people's base desires are going to become, and then control them that way, or rule with that. Right.
I mean, she's a lot of Walking Dead characters, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of those characters were no one. They were just regular schlubs. They just happened to survive.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So, and then when the world turns upside down like that, what ends up happening is you end up having people who didn't have power before suddenly has all the power, and it's constant power struggle at that point.
I mean, it shows you there's not much difference between us and those that are at the top. It's whoever gets the opportunity to seize the power is in control. Yeah.
So
which is what a lovely thing about the Max character in general. In all of these situations, he's in a position to seize control. Max could be a warlord if he wanted to be, or he could be a leader of people, but that's not the path he chooses.
He's true neutral, right?
Yep.
He is the most neutral character. That's why I say he's almost not even. That's the reason why I never see him as the lead of his own films. Right?
I almost agree with that. But
his arc is constant redemption.
Yeah.
Right, but there's another part of him, I think. I don't think he's truly neutral. I think he's so pessimistic that he would never want to settle down because he knows things are going to go poorly.
He's cynical.
Oh, that certainly will play into next week.
Yeah, there is a cynicism there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is his entire character next week. But
yeah. But he falls right back into that same arc.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I mean, it keeps working in different ways.
Well, you have to keep him moving or the stories stop too, right?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
He's like
Absolutely.
Kane from Kung Fu.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Max Rockatowski is a bum? He's a fucking bum?
Yeah, he's a fucking bum.
Because that's what that is, Jules. That's a fucking bum.
So basically, there's like a little periscope that always looks down into the shit farm. And she tells Max the whole deal. It's like, he's figured out this way to turn methane into power. And so we have to have these pigs because the pigs will produce a lot of methane and they are relatively easy to feed. In a post-apocalypse, you cannot have cows. Pigs would be good. makes sense because pigs will eat anything. Cows are very specific grazers, right? So when you don't have any crops, cows are right out.
It's a good point. Yeah.
So pigs,
You're like master over there.
I know, right? Come here, Chuck. You can be my blaster.
I was like, whoa, where's he going with that?
I thought I had to be your power bottom or something.
No, that was last week. This week we got something new. Maybe next week too. But anyway, we'll see. So basically it's like, yeah, put me down in there. Let me see what's going on. While he's down there, he does meet a guy who his name Pig Killer, because he has been sentenced to basically work in the shit farm forever because he killed a pig to feed his family. He worked outside the rules of Bartertown, except his conflict was not dealt with in Thunderdome. He was just sentenced to it. I think Tina Turner, probably just sentenced him to it.
Well, it could have been break a deal, spin the wheel kind of deal.
Oh, it could be. Yeah. It could be the wheel. But
because it wasn't a dispute with a specific person, wouldn't put you in a Thunderdome.
Right.
Yeah.
So he, and he is a little crazy. I mean, like, I have a feeling if you're constantly breathing shit, you get a little crazy.
There's about 30% methane in what he's breathing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about smelling your own farts. He's smelling everything's farts. So, and Max learns a little bit about what goes on down there from Pig Killer. But Max notices they're messing with his car. And he's like, hey, that's my vehicle. Here, I'll do all this.
Didn't I already explain all this?
Well, you did, but I'm coming. He was going to basically just leave. He's like wanting to leave with the car. And that's what basically instigates ultimately he
refuses to take the bomb off. That's what instigates the embargo.
It instigates the embargo. And then, Tina Turner's forced to basically submit, and then turns all the power back on. And then, how is it that actually he does?
So they go above ground, and he goes up to Master Blaster, who's riding in his car.
Yeah,
he's like, that's my car.
First he goes back to Auntie. He's like, okay, what next? He's confident. He's confident that he can defeat Master because he realizes the weakness. The loud noises that
from the bassoon's whistle.
At first, it's the alarm on the car.
Yeah, it was the alarm on the car that Master had a really strong reaction to, almost a very debilitating reaction. And then he tests it with his little whistle thing that he has, and that does the trick too. So now he's like, I got him. He goes back to see Auntie. He's like, okay, what next? And she says, well, you pick a fight. And that's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
Fight.
And they have to go into Thunderdome.
Thunderdome. And so, it's basically a setup, right? So now it's going to be Master versus Max. Although they don't know his name, he is, interestingly, called the Man with No Name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's introduced into Thunderdome, which also got me going, oh yeah, this is going to be Yojimbo, isn't it? Nope.
They fooled your ass.
Yep. So basically Master's like, well, I'm going to use my champion Blaster, and they put him in bungees.
The most memorable scene in this movie.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was an hour and a half of just this, I'd be like, yes.
You'd be a wrestling fan.
Let's make it a tournament movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Make it blood sport.
Talk about March Madness. Here we go. But anyway, so he did ask up on the surface, it's like, well, what about weapons? How do we do the fighting? It's like, well, it could be anything. It's just going to be depending on what you can get to.
Mm-hmm.
And
so people bring the weapons.
Yeah. And people bring weapons. They hang them up. At one point, some of the spectators fucking die, which is kind of funny how they do that whole thing, because like everybody wants to get right up on the dome to watch, but when you're like charging with a sword, it's gonna be bad news.
There's some strays.
Yeah. So basically, so they basically bounce up and down, swing back and forth. They hit each other. They're grabbing at each other, and it's all a scramble to try to get to weapons, but also Blaster. I love it when he brings Max all the way down, and then he basically like a trampoline on him.
Oh
Yeah, he's just jumping on him. Max
that's
is
great.
like totally overmatched. Like he will lose this fight if he is unable to use his whistle, and he loses his whistle for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah,
he's just getting
5 minutes would be
He's
bad
getting
news.
trampolined, and he can't reach his whistle. And every time he gets trampolined, it gets farther away from him.
Yep. Yeah.
Like he's got it in his mouth, about to blow it, and then he gets trampolined.
Right. And this is all, I mean, and this is one of those great kind of Mel Gibson action face scenes where he's like scrambling for the thing, and it's always like a oh no, and it's
an exasperation.
This scene like clearly inspires how Max is in the next movie. Few words, lots of faces.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does eventually. Well, at one point, Blaster cuts him down, so now he's on the.
He cuts Blaster down first.
Yeah, Max cuts
right.
Blaster down.
He does get him. Yeah, he does first. But they do eventually both end up on the ground, which then allows Max to be able to get to his whistle. He blows the whistle and then knocks Blaster's helmet off.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's giant ass hammer?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he's going to crush his head until he realizes that Blaster is mentally underdeveloped.
Yeah.
And he's basically a child.
He looks, he probably has Down syndrome, right? Yeah. He definitely intelligently underdeveloped.
And
he
does look
smiles
like
at him.
Yeah.
And he smiles at him. He's like, this is all game, right?
We've been having
that's
fun,
what
right?
We're having fun. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like in that moment, Max is like, I can't kill this.
This is not what I signed up for.
It's not what I signed up for.
Or this is not the deal I signed up for. To which Master's like, deal? What deal? Because Master is run into the Thunderdome now. It's like, see, look, it's like he's just a sweet. He's got a mind of a kid.
No, don't hurt him. He's just a child. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the mind of a child or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, look at his face. How, it's like he doesn't understand what's going on here, basically.
But at the same time, like Master is no saint here. Like Master has been exploiting Blaster this entire time. Yeah.
Blaster probably doesn't even understand that he has killed people.
Probably not.
And Master certainly knows, but
for sure.
Max refuses, but that doesn't stop Anti-Entity and her folks.
Right, because he does say, this is not the deal I signed up for, to which Master's like, what? Wait, what? What do you mean? And everybody's like, you got to finish the Thunderdome deal. And he's
One
like,
man enters, 2 man leave. Yep.
And that's the only reason she gets away with having him killed, because it's the rules.
Law. Yeah.
But then she tries to use that to her advantage to not let Max out. And everyone again starts yelling, 2 man enter, 1 man leave. She's like, fine, well, he broke the rules. He has to do the wheel.
He a busted deal. Is that what she says? It's a busted deal, face the wheel.
Yeah. And the wheel is like just a wheel of outcomes. Auntie's choice.
Auntie's choice is on there. That cracked me up.
Yeah. Whatever options there are. But the one that he lands on is the gulag.
The gulag.
Which in this movie is just exile.
It's exile into the wasteland. Yep.
Yeah. They put that fucking awesome mask on him, set him backwards on a horse, and put water on a stick in front of the horse. Go ahead.
So they give him a horse. That feels like a very precious resource in this world, does it not?
Well, it's probably a sick horse. I mean, the horse does die kind of quickly.
It does die, but it feels to me like, man, that's not like food. It better been a diseased horse.
It probably was not it was probably not a good horse. No.
There's not a whole lot of travel for these people anyways, so they probably don't utilize horses as much as one would think.
It's food. I mean, you would eat it. Yeah, it's meat.
Yeah.
Make some good hamburgers out of that.
Yeah, man.
They wouldn't be hamburgers. They'd be horse burgers.
Horse burgers.
Well, no, hamburgers are what's in the shit farm.
Yeah. Weirdly, I still don't understand why we call beef burgers hamburgers.
I don't either. Why are they called hamburgers? Yeah.
But yeah, they send him out into the
Because
gulag.
cow
and-
pies means something else. I don't know.
Yes. And we should mention that Max has a monkey or a chimp. What is it? It's a monkey,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's a little
Is it a
what are
marmoset?
those
It's
called?
a cappuccino.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, what
okay.
you said. Yeah.
There's so many kinds of monkeys.
Yes. Stop touching my monkey.
Stop touching the monkeys. AIDS. Sorry. You got me thinking about the damn Flight of the Conchords now when I
Yes,
should
I
be
do.
thinking about the flying
You've got
jalopy.
enough problems enough as it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
they sent
so
him
yeah.
out into the desert.
Yeah.
Eventually, I don't know how Pig Killer realizes the monkey is
I don't
Max's and how to
either.
send the monkey out to him, but he sends the monkey with a bag of water to chase
Yeah.
after Max.
Yeah.
So when the horse falls and Max tries to go get the water, everything sinks into the quicksand.
Yep.
Right? It's not really quicksand as we know it in this movie, but
Yeah, it's a little bit more like a sinkhole.
sinkhole. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a sinkhole. But it still like emulates quicksand, I guess.
A little bit Django-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, but the monkey, the cappuccino, catches up to him, gives him the water.
The Capuchin monk.
Yeah, the capuchin monk gives him the water, and Max is able to walk for a few days, or however long it is. I assume it's a few days, and then he just collapses. Does something happen to him, or does he just?
No,
collapse?
he does. He collapses too. And that's when one of the tribe that Jeff loves so much discovers him. It's where's my cast list? My goodness. I hate
Oh,
when
yeah.
they do a different format on the cast list.
It's the tribe who left and the tribe who stayed, but it's like the tribe basically. It's like these.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely. They don't get names for themselves until they split up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Savannah Nix.
Yes.
Savannah
Savannah
Feinzel.
Nix.
I said that like 3 times, so I must have been having.
Oh
problems.
yeah, I definitely not didn't
Definitely not. Didn't hear you.
Definitely not didn't hear you. Yeah.
So you were ignoring me.
Samantha Nix, who was played by, why is she not in this?
Helen Buddy.
Helen
She's the
Buddy.
first listed in the tribe who left. If you're looking at Wikipedia.
Yes.
It's okay. So technically, they're called the Planet Earth tribe, which I'm
Earth?
assuming Will Smith named them.
No, the children named him.
I know. I'm just saying Will Smith, the whole meme with like happy birthday and
yeah,
welcome to
sorry.
Planet Earth. I mean, you don't have to slap me over it, Chuck.
I like of the tribe, I like Helen Boudet the best.
Yeah, I mean, she's the only one who's really like a full on, like a real character.
A real character, yeah.
Because
Exactly.
then you got beefy leader dude,
Yeah.
and you got the guy who's practically a monkey also,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
who's like very squirrely and
Yeah, that's one. Is that not Gecko? I don't know if he even has a name.
He does because he's the one that lets them all loose. And they say a name for him, but I can't remember what it is.
He's the one with the teeth. We'll just call him that.
Screw
right?
loose.
Is he Screw Loose?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is Screw Loose. Yep.
No. That's the one who looks like a war boy. Screw Loose.
He
'Cause he's
paints
got
his
the
face and
painted
has a
face.
black painter in his eye.
Yeah, that's Screw Loose. I'm talking about the one, the little kid who chases after them into the desert when they go.
that's
when Max
Eddie.
goes-
That's Eddie.
Eddie.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he carries around the little koala.
Yes. Okay. Shane Tickner. Yeah, smallest child who later catch. Okay, cool. So yeah, anyway, he's rescued by Savannah Nix, and brought back to the tribe. And they all think that he is some mythical being in their,
He's the captain of the ship that crashed.
I know.
Or the plane.
Who is it? Captain
Walker.
Carter. Captain
Yeah.
Walker. Yeah. They think he's Captain Walker. They think that he is the pilot of the ship that crashed, that brought them to where they live currently.
Which is like a little oasis. Like
It is a
there's-
little oasis, like a cave dwelling, like
There's
like
a
one of
little
those
bit
sort
of
of open
plants.
cave. Yeah,
There's a
green
waterfall.
base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very fortunate landing crash for them where they end up.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the parents like stashed the kids there because there would be something there to hide in, something to potentially eat when they took off.
But why did all the parents leave?
I know.
It makes no fucking sense.
They left to find a better place for them to live.
Every single parent, every single adult just left.
Or they left them on purpose.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like, fuck off, I'm out of here to find a better way to live.
But that's crazy.
I don't think many of the parents.
It's crazy.
There was only 20 of them.
20
left.
Parents?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, some of this plane crash must have just happened. Also.
Right. That's my other problem is the chronology of this.
I would guess.
This is where, Chuck, you step in. Explain this to me.
I would guess 5 to 10 years ago, the crash happened.
But some of those kids are less than 10.
Yeah. No, I would say the youngest is like 8 or 9, probably.
I would give you that. I would give you 8 or 9. So yeah, so that means that if they were newborns, that we're putting a timeline on the apocalypse. We're putting a timeline on the apocalypse at this point. So yeah, we're talking like 8 to 10 years ago.
But every time there are children who grow to a certain age, they take after their parents and they try to leave for a better place to find for the kids. That's why they know the legend of the quicksand, because they lose people constantly trying to get out of there for them. So even if more time
when they come of age, they leave.
Pretty much.
So it's the children of the corn sort of thing. There's like a hierarchy based on age, and this is probably a couple of generations now, maybe.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Potentially, like at least 1.5 generations, because they even make a comment that one of the people who left, one of the tribes people who left, tribes women who left, said she's about to pop. They don't necessarily say that she was pregnant.
She's pregnant,
but she's pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, all right. So, but that's a weird tradition.
I don't even know.
And you leave.
I don't know for a fact that it would be considered like you have to, but I think they do because it's what their parents did.
It makes more sense than what we're left to figure out on our own, which is just all their parents abandoned them, which I already don't buy.
I think I don't think the parents left 20 at a time. I think it was like efforts to find the people that were lost and blah, 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 blah.
And they all ended up in that sinkhole.
Or dying a sinkhole or dying. Yeah. There's no escape from this place. There's none.
There's so many people in that sinkhole. That Max wasn't really in all that much trouble.
Right. I mean, that's
because I'm trying to like reconcile the language and how they only have limited vocabulary.
Because they were all left young to begin with.
Right.
Or they are part of the second generation.
But that's the thing. Like if they are the first generation, that's always the way I've assumed is that they're the first generation.
Savannah,
and that means that like they were all infants when they were abandoned. You know?
No, I mean kids still talk like that when they're 6, 7, 8 years old.
No, but in the timeline, right? Like if they're all 8 to 10 years old, they were all like really little. Like most of them were really little.
Older kids, but
not that many. At least not that they focus.
Not enough. Wait, hold on. Not enough to impact how the kids develop their speech.
Yeah.
Right. Like most of them were young, and they were the ones that were talking to each other and growing up together, while the older kids were trying to help them survive, teach them how to speak.
I buy that, but I don't buy that they were all like the same goddamn age. Like, what did they just like raid a preschool? And put them on the plane?
People died on the plane. Kids probably had a better chance of survival because they're smaller. I don't know.
It's not all the adults left. The adults survived too. It's just the fact
20
that there
of
was
them, not all of them.
A lot of the children are of about the same age. That's the point I'm making.
The smallest of the children are all roughly the same age. Yeah. Savannah and Slick Mathirst. I love that name.
But I'm picking up.
I'm going to change my name to Slick Mathirst. But no, I think they were probably on the plane. Like they are probably not actually children. They're probably in their 20s.
No,
could be. I mean, the actors certainly were. But I think it's because if there are some,
are you talking about just the two of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like they would have been young
They're
when
like-
the plane went
They're
down.
older teens. Yeah, they were probably 9, 10, 11. They were probably the oldest of the kids.
Right.
Right.
And if there were some people who were pregnant, because like there is one Kusha, the pregnant girl. So it's like there has to be some old enough to get pregnant, conceivably. And so like if Savannah and Slake are the two leaders, as they are pretty much set up to be, then I would think that they are at the very tippy top of teens, if not early 20s, like very early 20s, possibly.
Yeah, of course.
Like they are on the verge of making the decision of staying or leaving. Which Savannah does make a decision.
There's two things here. You either just go with it, which is what I think George Miller wants you to do.
Probably. We're probably already too far in the weeds here.
But honestly, it's only I fixate on this. I fixate on this every time I watch this movie, and I can't help it.
My explanation makes good sense to me.
I still am not buying it, and that to me is what makes it just a little off, just a little bit off. It's like,
it's a fairy tale.
Why does it have to all be kids, though? It's like, did he just like Peter Pan? Like, it's very Lost Boys.
It is absolutely. That is one of the things that was dinged on this, was that it was too much Peter Pan.
If there are adults there, then Max doesn't get to show the side of himself that he does, which clearly George wanted to show that there was still humanity left there.
I think
and there was still a nurturing nature left to Max.
I think he showed that in the last movie, that there was a humanity left in him.
Yeah, but he certainly showed it with not killing Blaster too.
I agree there too.
But that's just a moment. This is an actual character turn, I think, is what Chuck is saying, right?
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. I wish it hadn't just been kids. Just me. It could have been a somewhat thriving society with hierarchy and adults and children, where Max's presence shook things up, right? Like Max showing up is like, holy shit, there might be more out there than we thought. And then that fractures an actual society of adults. And you have basically
like
the same effect.
Saga in this movie,
no, it would have the same effect. It would have the same effect. You could plot it the exact same way.
But he doesn't need other enemies.
It just wouldn't all be children.
Right. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the children.
Well,
I think it shows what happens to children when they're left to fend for themselves. And some of those children are acting adults. Like they're 17, 18 years old. They're adults.
I mean, I do like an element of the mythology that they create. And their language.
That's why I think we're a couple of generations separated from the accident.
Yeah,
and it depends on how long, because Max isn't much older than he was earlier. It can't be more than 20 years.
He is shown with a little bit of gray in it. Yeah, like, I think he is meant to be a little older.
Give me this. If it could all be fixed with Chuck's explanation of when they become a certain age, because of what they knew of their parents, that when you become a certain age, you are next to leave to find, help or home or whatever it is, right? Just write that into the fucking movie. Just write it in. It solves every goddamn problem I have. It really does.
Well, you're welcome.
It solves it all.
You're welcome.
Just put it in there. But it's not there. It's not in the movie.
But I will say also, though, that this also plays to, like Chuck said, the fairy tale element, right?
Sure.
That it is impossible. I mean, again, I said it. It's a fool's errand to try to place a continuity around these movies. And it also, a couple of weeks ago, I said that, seeing the trailer for Furiosa talks about it being 45 years after the fall. Yeah. Meaning that timeline is way the hell out there now.
Yeah, I mean, we're all...
Because now when we're talking about, like, next week's movie, we're, like, 65, 70 years beyond the fall of society. So I think we're just going to have to take it as it's this in this movie.
I don't want to have to argue. I'm not arguing. I'm just making a point.
We're not arguing.
No, I just want to make this point, and I don't want it to seem like I'm arguing. We don't really know. Mad Max, the original, is after the fall too. Right. In theory.
That's true. In theory,
Right.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard to know.
But that is, I mean, yeah. And the only thing I would say about that is that it was later maybe retconned that there was a war, not like an ecocide sort of thing, right? So it's like, yeah, you're right, Chuck. We don't know. I mean, like the first movie, things are
Could have been 20
apart.
years after the fall, but it's still falling.
Well, here's a wild thought for you, and I should save this for next week. But what if Tom Hardy's Mad Max isn't really Max at all? He doesn't say his name until the very end of the movie. He happens to have a beat up V8 Interceptor.
Let's talk about this next week.
All right, we will.
Let's talk about
Yeah, I mean that's another thing too.
Put a
It's
pin
like
in it because it might not
it's
be
a
the same person.
title. It's a title at that point. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, all right. So Max, oh gosh, where are we at? So Max basically tells the kids, it's like, I'm not this Captain Walker.
I'm not Captain Walker. Yeah.
I hate to break it to you. Like he is. I mean, well, what's kind of great is they tell this whole story, and what's the first thing he does? He just gets up and leaves.
Yeah.
And then he has to stop and say, well, okay, I'm not Captain Walker, you know, but yeah, I mean, and then
This is all Sonic Bonic bullshit, man.
right, yeah. And so basically, you know, it's like there is no place like Tomorrowland, as they call it, which is their ideal paradise that they're trying to seek out.
Yeah.
That they thought that Captain Walker would return to bring them. Now, the dark part of that story is Captain Walker died probably instantly when the plane went down. And
oh, do you think so? I mean, do you think
it's a very good possibility?
But I always got the impression that he was one of the adults that left because he was one of the first to leave to find
Well, maybe, yeah,
help
maybe.
or whatever. That was always like he was their leader.
That's a
he
good
was like
point.
their leader after the crash because he was a captain.
Because
Obviously, he was,
he's the bullshit captain, as George Carlin would call him.
right. I mean, that's what kind of what happens. Everybody looks to the captain, right? Because they have the title.
Right, it's some bullshit, though.
Yeah, it is. I also like that they call it a pox eclipse. I love that.
Yeah.
Some of the language I really
the language
do
is
like.
super cool. But anyway,
Oh yeah, and one of them says he's got the word stuff from his ass to his mouth. I love that.
yeah.
Hilarious.
He's talking out of his ass, I guess, kind of. Yeah, love that.
But yeah, Savannah wants to go to Bartertown, and Max is like, that is not where you want to go. It's like,
No, he's like, that might be our only choice.
yeah, and but he's like, you can't go there. You know, it's like it's going to basically chew you up and spit.
The first thing you'll find is a shithole called Bartertown, and it'll eat you alive. Basically, is what he says.
Oh,
Yeah.
when they're still in the town.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry.
Because
They tie him up because he is like so determined to keep them from going.
well, he knows a good thing when he sees it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the thing. Like in his mind, it's like you're safe here. You have it better than most. You don't know how good you have it. Is what he's trying to convey to them.
And nobody knows they're there, too.
Right. And he's like, I can live the rest of my life happy here. Comfort, water. Like it is truly a mecca, right?
Yeah.
And they don't see it. And he's like, I'm going to drag you here because if any of them leave, yes, they may die, but the worst thing that would happen is if they actually make it to Bartertown.
Yeah.
Because if they make it to Bartertown, it won't be long before people make it back to them.
Yep. And so because they're going to say where they came from, you know. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically they tie him up, and then he is woken up the next morning with somebody saying, Savannah left. She took some people and left for Bartertown.
And
like,
so-and-so's about to pop.
and so-and-so's about to pop. And he's like, okay, well, we got to go and get them. basically. We have to go after them. And this is the first chase of the movie, right? It's a foot chase, which is not expected in this sort of world. But all roads lead back to Bartertown. We do find out that the underworld is now under the control of Anti-Entity. Mm-hmm. And Master is basically kept in a cage.
Master is a slave.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's kept in a cave or in a cage next to basically where the pigs sleep.
Yeah.
So, but basically they do end up catching up, and they're going to go back to planet Earth. That's what they call it. I'm sorry.
It's just funny to hear you say.
I know.
It is.
But they say, well, we don't have the supplies to make it back, so we got to go to Bartertown now. So trying to avoid going to Bartertown only makes it impossible for them to come back from catching up with the tribe who left is what that group is called. Yeah. By the way, Slick Mathurst, he stayed behind. He's like, hey, I'm not going. He's right. I like it here, and I know
I'd like to stick around here.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so they have to now sneak into Underworld. Who wants to? I'm tapping out. Who wants to pick up from here? Because this is where things get a little blurry-eyed for me. I admit.
Well, they get this is kind of where it picks up a little bit, but where I wish I had a little bit more meat.
Yeah,
it's a little nebulous because it becomes
a little bit like Goonies, right? Like you're getting away from the
I thought you wanted somebody else to take over, Jeffrey.
No, I'm just saying this is why I get blurry-eyed at this point.
because basically they sneak in and all Max can think of is Master. Master's a smart one. Master, if we get Master will know what to do, right? So this is, I guess, a little bit of the Yojimbo thing happening here.
Oh, one real quick thing also to add is that they take Max to the wrecked plane. And it's like, all we got to do is just fix it up and we can take off and go to Tomorrowland.
That shit ain't funny.
And that's when he's like, I'm just going to leave. You guys are nuts.
Nuts.
But he thinks, well, maybe, he kind of ties it together. It's like, well, maybe Master will know what to do with anything.
Right. Or if nothing else, we free him and we escape with him and we'll figure it out from there, which is basically the plan.
Yeah.
And when they get down in there, everything goes to hell. It's like a huge fight between Max and the tribe and the workers down there in the underworld. It's got that classic trope where Max runs after the one guy around the corner. And then it's like the Han Solo shot, right? And then he comes running back around, and he's chased by a bunch of guys.
This is the Ewoks versus the Empire. This is total Star Wars.
There's even another left to right swipe in this, in the wasteland, no less. It's very Star Wars.
But Pig Killer helps.
But Pig Killer's got the plan in air quotes. He's like, we can escape on this truck that's on train tracks. I can get it going. They use the fuel like steam fuel, charcoal and methane to get it going. And they blow up Max's vehicle behind them, right? Is that what they blow up? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So they get it going. They're able to get this kind of makeshift train car going, and that escapes while Max's vehicle, they explode that thing and it blows the fuck out of Bartertown. Like it's all the explosions underneath Bartertown are blowing out through the I guess the
vents,
whatever the vents are, that are feeding the fuel, into the little hovels and things. Well, at this point, Auntie knows that, oh shit, they got Master, and she rallies the troops, and it's a car chase. This is our car chase.
This is
finale.
chase number 2. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're like basically this modified truck on a train track, like a truck with train wheels, chugging down the this track, but the cars not on the track are faster.
Yeah.
And so they catch up rather quickly.
And I mean, essentially, like it's a car chase. There's a lot of really interesting things happening, though, here that we start to see in the next movie. Like this chase is a lot. There's a lot you can kind of see that
there's the
Miller's
pole
building
vaulting
on.
guys.
There's the pole vaulting guys. Yeah. He's starting to like really evolve his ideas of what he wants to do.
And the bad guys, and like the bad guys goon squad, or the quote unquote bad guy, the chasers goon squad are almost fanatical with what they're out to do. There are things going on inside the truck, much like there was in the next movie, because they find like a turntable, like an old like record player, which is just an instructional.
It's a French how to speak French record, because
the kids are like following along.
He drops the needle on it, and they're mesmerized by it. Yeah. They think that they're talking to someone because that's their whole thing. Is that they remember Captain Walker probably on his radio trying to reach anyone that may have a radio, and they're emulating that through maybe a generation and a half of what they think is communication.
But
the train meets an end. Like they get far enough away from Auntie's pursuers, but the train track is at the very end, and at the very end of it is Jebediah's kid.
Jebediah's kid is down there. But one of the other things that happens is that Auntie and one of her goons gets onto one of the cars. And like they're trying to get, this is where Master gets tossed around a little bit.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
Because they just want Master. They don't really care about Max or the kids.
No, they don't.
Pig Killer or any of those people. They just want Master, because he can make the power work. So it's like you got one guy. It's like, okay, you got to separate the train. You got to separate the truck from the cars. And so that's how they're going to steal. And there's a lot of like, there is some fun in there where like people are like showing up in the windows of the truck and like reaching in and
it's
punching.
Really fun. It's really fun.
It's almost like an Indiana Jones scene.
I love this action sequence. I think honestly, it's right up there with the final road race in The Road Warrior. I think it's really good. That's why I was kind of saying earlier, it's like the last 20 minutes of this movie I like a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. And then of course they have to stop the train, and Jebediah's kid is like, this is a stick up, and his great Italian accent. Australian accent.
Hey, I'm gonna stick you up.
And then but I forget what happens. They
So Jedediah Jr. jumps into the trunk of a car.
They chase him, but I forget why. Did his gun not fire, or did he just realize he was outmatched? The little kid.
I think Max fired a shot.
Maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, he's like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. And he's like, oh, we're dead meat, Dad, we're dead meat. Because he goes down into their
He
little
sees
car
the other
tunnel.
cars coming.
Yeah.
He sees the anti-entities group coming.
Yeah, way outmatched. Yeah. We're dead meat, Dad. Dead meat. And yes, man, this is kind of sad for Bruce Spence, because he's got a good little life built for himself. They've got this little underground Tatooine car bunker thing happening.
He's a fucking thief, man.
He is a fucking thief. Yeah. But you see all of his like spoils too in his underground tunnels. But it's a good little thing he's got. He's just chilling, reading a book on his bed, in his bunker, and his little kid's like, "We're dead meat, Dad." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And then of course Max and all the kids in the gang are all running through, and he tells Bruce Spence, he's essentially like, "Hey man, there's a way you can redeem yourself." you can fly us out of here. So he kind of coerces him into loading them all up into his plane so they can get the hell out.
But he says
there's a couple
not
of problems.
enough.
Yeah.
What was that, Chuck?
I was saying, the jalopy flying man is like, there's not enough runway here, and Max is like, I'll make the runway. There will be enough runway.
Didn't he also say that there was too much weight also?
Yeah, they had to dump
just
a
knock
bunch of
off
stuff. They dumped a bunch of supplies and stuff off the plane. Yeah.
And then, of course, Max gets off,
they
too.
try to take off, but they go the wrong direction. They hit a cliff.
Yeah.
So that point, they have to turn around, and then that's when Jebediah's like, "There's not enough runway," and Max is like, "There will be." It's like, that's good. That's a good Max moment right there.
Yeah, just go. There will be. Just go.
Yeah.
And he takes a car and just runs through the middle of them, which he loves to do.
He sure does.
It's a total Max trait.
He sure
So
does.
he clears the space.
He clears all of the space.
Yeah. But he wrecks like hard and crawls out of his car. But while he's doing that, the plane takes off and gets away. Really interesting here, which kind of tells you a lot about Entity's character.
Does. Yep.
She walks up to him and they have guns on him, and I can't remember her line, but
she says, "Ain't we a pair?"
Ain't we a pair? Yes, which is kind of important.
Ain't we a pair, Raggedy Man?
Yep.
Yeah.
Raggedy Man.
Love it. Love
she lets him live.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end, she knows when she's bested, and
I think she also respects him.
I think she does too. I think she's like, hey, you know what? Because at the end of the day, he did give her what she wanted in Bartertown.
Well, I mean, her place is destroyed, man.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean,
if she wanted to hold a grudge, she could hold a grudge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole place is non-operational
she sees any value in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Killing this guy isn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we end up getting, much like the last movie, we now get a little bit of a tale from the future.
Yes.
And Savannah, right? Savannah? Yeah, Savannah
Yeah.
is basically telling a collected group of kids, of which she also is she pregnant or does she have a kid?
One or
At
the
that
other.
point,
I think she's pregnant.
She maybe both. Yeah, I mean, this is quite a few. Yeah, she's certainly like a mother at this point.
Yeah, she seems older. She seems she's speaking much clearer. Like not clear in terms of like clear English.
She found some
English.
books.
Yeah, something. And so she basically is saying it's like, so and you see them flying into the wasteland that is Sydney. And they have basically made Sydney their home, and it is open for anybody who is looking for a home. Basically, anybody who's out on the road.
We'll leave the light on for you.
Basically, they're Tom Burdette or Tom. Yeah,
but they lit up the buildings.
Yep,
so people can find it.
Yeah,
and that's what Master was able to. He was able to get all that back to working. I think.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so he was. So basically, she's like, and basically hoping that someday Max finds the place too, knowing that he's out there as well.
It's the first. It's the first real attempt at
real civilization.
A real civilization. Yeah.
Or at least civilization based on what just was lost. Not like in Road Warrior where it seems like it's almost like Garden of Eden kind of restarting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one why I think I can buy that this might be the last Max movie, because it is the candle of civilization reforming that isn't. It's explored differently in the next movie, I guess. There's two ways to reform a civilization, right? Or multiple.
I think we've got two possibilities, that this is the last one, or it's a different Max.
Right.
And we'll get into that next week. Yeah. So stick around.
Stick around. We'll leave the lights on for you.
Because Australia's a pretty fucking big continent. I mean,
and like 98% of it is the outback, right? That's what I've always learned.
Yep. I mean, that's pretty much true.
Is it? I didn't know that. I was making a joke.
I think as far as populated area goes.
Oh, so you think it's like Canada?
I'm not saying it's all the bush. Yeah, but it's a lot of it is
it's on the coast. Yeah. Okay,
a lot of it is. Yeah.
I mean, Canada, like, 90% of the people live right on the border or something. Yeah.
And I'm also thinking specifically the wasteland, right?
Yeah.
The middle part of Australia is going to probably be pretty low population density.
These people are really lucky that the nuclear fallout killed all the spiders and shit.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
there's two-headed lizards. We know that.
Yeah, and they get eaten.
Another teaser for next week.
Yeah.
God, imagine how big those fucking spiders are going to be.
That's the problem. There could be like mutated spiders.
They got wings now. Some of them are going to get wings. Anyway, some of them already have the building blocks to have wings.
Wait, spiders?
Yes.
Evolutionary
yes,
chain?
some
really?
spiders already are beginning to develop wings. They're not going to happen in our lifetime. But imagine
Flying
that
spider.
shit.
That's a true nightmare.
Isn't
The
it?
dolphins and the spiders will take over the earth. The earth.
But I don't know which one's the good guys. I mean, dolphins are going to come and get you. They're going to get you. If you
They
know what I mean.
all have left by that
They're going to
time.
have sex with everyone.
They've told us so long, and thanks for all the fish by then.
That's right.
By then.
So next, we already talked about what next week is, but I'll say it again just for the sake of it. Next week, conclusion of March Madness is Fury Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gooder. Look forward to talking about that one.
What a banger. Man.
Banger. It's absolute cracking.
It's cracking.
That is next week. Next week is
That.
we die on the Fury Road.
That's right.
Yeah.
All shiny and chrome.
And then the next month, we're doing Furry Road.
Furry
Yes.
Road. We are.
Oh shit.
Oh, shit. You'll understand that later, folks.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
All right. So next week on the 27th, Mad Max Fury Road. I can't think of I don't know if we have
Maybe that
ever
little
had.
capuchin monkey. That's like the continuation, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know if we have ever done a theme month that has had this good of a finale. But it's going to be up there. It's going to be up there. Although, wait a minute,
Masterpiece level.
Star Trek 6 was pretty good.
Owen Brothers month had some pretty good finales.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's true.
That's true.
Had an
Anyway,
Oscar winner. Had an Oscar winner. That's pretty solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let's just put it this way: April is not going to end this strong. Anyway.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. But yeah, so March 27th is Mad Max Fury Road. The conclusion, we will have our final bracket then. Go to filmseizure.com. That's where you can find where to listen, where to follow us on social medias and all of that good stuff. Also at filmseizure.com, this upcoming Monday, a new episode of Monster Mondays. I Walked with a Zombie. That's a decent little flick. Decent
Never
little
seen that
flick.
one.
It is pretty good. I think it's on Tubi and like a lot of those free places, but
Should mention that the plane in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome is a Boeing.
yeah, it is. Sure is.
Is.
It sure is a Boeing, but that was back in their good days.
Yeah.
So anyway, Monster Mondays next week. I Walked with a Zombie. Good stuff from the same people who did Cat People in 1942.
Yeah, good stuff.
Nice.
Very good stuff. So that's also filmseizure.com. This upcoming Friday at my website, bmovieanima.com, I ain't done with Australia. I'm in the Cars That Ate Paris.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So there you go. I'm not even done with Bruce Spence.
Yeah.
I'm done with him.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I can.
Chuck's
I can,
had enough of him.
Chuck's done with that. Chuck's done with all of us. So anyway, so that is what's
3 men
happening.
enter, 1 man leaves. Sorry, Jeff.
Well, you got to let me at least finish the episode before I'm done. Anyway, so that is what's happening. Guys, I can't wait to talk about the next one. So let's get out of here. Until then, I am slake my thirst.
I'm Chuck.
I'm Jason Oliver. I mentioned 2 quick things. Grant Page was stunt coordinator on Thunderdome, which is awesome. Grant Page rules. And Tim Capello was Tina Turner's longtime saxophonist. He plays saxophone on the theme song to this movie, which is badass. Tim Capello is Sexy Sax Man from The Lost Boys. The movie has kind of Lost Boys in it. It all connects. It's weird. And you've been listening to Film Seizure.